Hey, welcome to Crossroads. In today's episode, we'll be talking about Chinese military hackers right now allegedly preparing to shut down or practicing to shut down the American infrastructure, including the electric grid. Also, the World Economic Forum is warning of cyber attacks like this, crippling the U.S. and other countries. And there's also talk now of the potential out of an artificial intelligence-powered computer virus and what this would mean to the world system when so much of it is now connected to the internet. Some very serious stuff. Let's talk about it. Now, first of all, what's happening right now? Chinese military hackers are accused of infiltrating the systems that basically keep America running. This includes the electric grid, its water utilities, its gas and oil systems, transportation, a lot of other systems. Now, the CCP is allegedly doing this in preparations for a potential cyber attack against the United States in the case of a war in the Pacific, or at least that's how it's being framed. Washington Post says this. It says the Chinese military is ramping up its ability to disrupt key American infrastructure, including power and water utilities, as well as communication and transportation systems, according to U.S. officials and industry security officials. It says these hackers affiliated with China's People's Liberation Army, the CCP Military, have burrowed into the computer systems of about 24 critical entities over the last year, according to these individuals. And notes the intrusions are part of a broader effort to develop ways to sow panic and chaos or snarl logistics in the event of a U.S.-China conflict in the Pacific. Among the victims, it says, are a water utility in Hawaii, a major West Coast port, and at least one oil and gas pipeline, according to people familiar with it. Now, they said that they've also attempted to break into one of the Texas power grids, which operates independently from electrical systems in the rest of the country, and several entities outside the United States, including electric utilities, also have been victimized by these hackers, according to these individuals. And of course, all of this is raising concerns of, well, if you have Chinese military hackers probing right now the electric grid of, and not just the United States, but of many countries, if you have them getting into the water systems, into the gas systems, well, what are they doing? And one of the possibilities is that they're first establishing access to get into the systems, and they could potentially maintain that access. There's also the potential they're planting things that are quiet, things that are not making noise right now, but could be activated at a later time. Now, I'll go deeper into my thoughts on exactly what's happening with this, including I'll show you, in fact, some of the Chinese military's plans, noting attacks exactly like this. We'll go into that soon. But first, I want to talk about some of the other debates online around this, because a lot of people are pointing to the World Economic Forum, interestingly warning of an attack that sounds almost exactly like this. I should clarify, there has not yet been an attack of this sort. What is happening right now is that Chinese military hackers have been discovered apparently planning or creating the capabilities for an attack like this. They're setting it up, basically. Now, when it comes to the World Economic Forum, they have discussed cyber attacks in the same way as COVID-19, in the same way as a global pandemic. They're saying that in the same way, the World Economic Forum, they've been saying this for 4 years-ish, and especially over the last 2 years, they've had a lot of different reports and claims about the threat of an attack of this sort. They're raising concerns over the idea of a cyber pandemic. The idea that just in the way that a virus spreads among humans and infects us and so on and so forth, that a bug or a virus could also spread within the electric infrastructure, within computers, within international systems that maintain the networks and computers that make societies run. Electric grid, water supply, traffic systems, maybe banking, who knows what else. They're discussing it again in the same way as a pandemic, and in light of discussing it as a pandemic, they're suggesting ways of challenge or trying to take it on as you would in preparation for a pandemic. And the World Economic Forum is suggesting the only way to stop a cyber attack of this sort that could potentially spread from device to device, much like a virus spreading human to human, is to be able to disconnect these electric devices from one another and from the internet. What does that mean? It means that they're suggesting there needs to be some kind of system that could shut down maybe individual devices, that could maybe monitor individual devices, that would have the capabilities of stopping a cyber attack like this from being able to spread. And that would have some pretty serious implications. I'll go into that. But first, let me show you a video from the World Economic Forum itself. This is from 2 years ago. Watch this.
You see, the only way to stop the exponential propagation of a COVID-like cyber threat is to fully disconnect the millions of vulnerable devices from one another and from the internet. All of this in a matter of days. A single day without the internet would cost our economies more than $50 billion, and that's before considering the economic and societal damages should these devices be linked to essential services such as transport or healthcare. As the digital realm increasingly merges with our physical world, the ripple effects of cyber attacks on our safety just keep on expanding at a faster pace than what we're preparing for. COVID-19 was known as an anticipated risk. So is the digital equivalent. Let's be better prepared for that one. The time is now.
Now that video was from 2 years ago, and some of you may have seen another video that was going viral. It was Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, and he was at the Cyber Polygon event in 2020. He was warning of a digital pandemic. And people are now pointing to this, given the news going around with, hey, this sounds a whole lot like what Klaus Schwab warned about, a few years back. And people are suggesting, well, is this some weird plan? Is there some weird thing going on? I'll give my thoughts on it, but let me show you first what he said. Watch this.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison